Mewing news, and the news is mewing. Lots has been happening, and I've not been posting much because so much has been happening. I've been trying to watch where this is going to go, and we can be a little bit more certain now. But we're changing the world, literally changing the face of the world. Thousands of people around the world are mewing. It's become an entity in itself, and this has fascinated me. One of the main things I'm interested in is pushing mewing into a scientific direction. In any science, case examples, you, the mewers doing this, are valuable. And we're hoping that if we can understand what you've achieved and how you've achieved, we can share this information and help everyone, and each person will help each other with their ideas and things. So we're looking to set up some interviews. I won't do the initial interview, but I will be involved, where we can find people who have got a couple of things we're looking for. Not only is good documented evidence, so I'm very interested in the health benefits. So if you've got some genuine health certification, such as you had sleep apnea, you don't have sleep apnea now, you've got a improvement in your body posture as observed by a independent source like your osteopath or chiropractor or physiotherapist. So we're looking, and also you've got something to present, to tell us, to share. So if you've got some evidence, some hard evidence, guess like some good photographs would be great, and then something to share, then we want to hear from you, because I've kept out slightly of the mewing movement of late because I wanted it to develop by itself. Now I want to try and guide the movement in a more scientific direction, and that's making science. That's helping us all. Now, we're in the New York Times magazine. I mean, we were in the front cover of the Times magazine. They took an interesting angle, this sort of incel angle, which is trying to suggest that you're all incels. However, I think something like the New York Times is not gonna really acknowledge that a good chunk of modern orthodontics isn't as beneficial as they would like to believe. And so the New York Times went with a certain angle. As they say, all news is good news. I'll put the link below with information about these interviews we're going to do. And it was an interesting article. It was interesting being involved. It didn't come out as I was imagining, but things don't like that. Well, I'll put the link there. You can have a look. But he does come to some really quite stark conclusions about orthodontics in general. So if you're trying to spread the word amongst your friends or family, do point out the sort of harsh points that he's making in the articles. Now, I said a lot's going down. The establishment are trying to get me, and it's gonna be an interesting process. The other weekend I had a little bit of a health issue. I've got Crohn's, and well, you know, I wasn't well for the weekend, and it made me realize I can't push myself any harder. You know, I work 10 hours a day. I pay myself as little as I can get away with, putting the rest back into the mission we've got here. And I'm going to need your help at some point. And so I'm going to need your help, what resources you've got, what time you've got. And we need to change this movement into a real action group. You know, please go to the Craniofacial Action Group on Facebook. That's the place where we've got people who really understand this, and that's where people will help you to understand what we're doing, because we've spent a lot of time and effort teaching this group, and they are very knowledgeable about the whole areas of craniofacial dystrophy, and how to resist this, how to turn this clock back. And I will say that for many of the mewers I see, I talk to them, those ones who want to have a consultation with me, and they tell me they've changed. They tell me that they've improved. And when I watch them, their lips are apart so much of the time. And please, people, be honest with yourselves. Change is difficult. I'm looking at the health benefits that you can achieve. You know, there's good research. There's a Stanford meta-analysis showing that these types, I think less good exercises can reduce sleep apnea by 50% in adults and over 60% in children. So, you know, the health benefits from mewing are large. But also, of course, you can get some facial improvement. I mean, I think too many people, that's their only goal. And I think that's a shame. And remember, it takes time. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. We are getting better and better adult results here. Please don't try to contact my surgery. We're getting 100 mails a day. It's just, you're slowing us down trying to send mails to us. It's not helping. You know, when, you know, there is go through the website, come through the official protocols, you know, try not to just jam our system up with telephone calls and emails. It's holding the whole thing back. Now, I think that what I'm interested in, what I'm trying to highlight to many of you, is that it's not just what you do in the mouth. You know, as we know, that if you have good body posture, you stand up straight. If you have poor body posture, these two things go together. And most people hit a wall as far as trying to change their oral posture. And the next thing is to try and get changes in your body posture. Now, I've always been impressed with the work of Thomas Myers with Anatomy Trains. He's saying, are we several hundred muscles in our body, or are we one muscle in several hundred different fascial compartments? And it's fascinating the way you look at this, because in reality, we don't do this. Yeah, you know, and we don't do, you know, these. That's a very unusual movement for us to make. And what several people on the Craniofacial Action Group have highlighted to me is the work of, I think it's Nadi, who talks about the functional patterns. And I've been impressed with the functional patterns. While some of the case examples from the functional patterns and probably the theoretical idea from functional patterns. What they're looking at again is they're trying not to look at a single exercise, but they do a lot of cable work where, you know, you pull a cable from one place and you pull it over. So you're doing this sort of motion, and a lot of sort of cross core body work is going on. And, you know, look at this image here of Willie. Now, he's a trainer for functional patterns, so he's not an average person off the street. This is someone who does this quite a lot. And Willie is working to, you know, he's clearly, with the functional patterns, gained some facial change. What I'm really impressed with, and not only is this facial change relatively clear and obvious, but he's also got dental effects, and the type of dental effects that would really make me think this is facial change. You know, when you get this change on a wisdom tooth unerupting, then I'm thinking that validates what I'm thinking. So here's someone who's not been mewing, he's been working on his body work, and he's got facial change. Well, clearly my idea is try and put these together. And I'm looking at exercise in a slightly different way. You know, most people think of exercise as something you do when you go down the gym. You go down a couple of times a week, you take your gym bag, you walk down to the gym, and you exercise for a period of time. Well, that's not really what our ancestors looked at exercise, because our ancestors never went down the gym. For them, there was no such thing as exercise, there was just life. Exercise was entwined with life. And I could give you a lot of little examples that I've picked up, but what I've come to the conclusion is that a little bit, often or frequently, is far more beneficial to you than doing something occasionally and a lot of it. So what I started to do was before my Crohn's crisis, I've now stopped taking milk. I would like to have coffee with a little bit of warmed milk. So I would put a little bit of milk in the bottom of my cup and a little bit of coffee. And then I put that in the microwave and for 1 minute. Now in that 1 minute, I could go and do 10 press ups and 3 chin ups. And well, actually I could do it in 40 seconds. And I would have with milk and maybe with coffee and a cup of teas, I was having about 4 sessions, 4 40-second sessions in a day. And I was amazed at I am amazed at how that's improved my body posture. Now, my thoughts are to take something like the functional patterns regime, and they use a lot of these cable works, and my next project is going to be trying to set something up very simple using a little bit of some ropes and some pulleys and maybe a bag of sand, a lighter weight more frequently, probably better than a heavy weight less frequently, and set something up that I can have in the clinic and at home. So every time I pass it, I'm doing a couple of reps, just 3-4 reps, nothing great, really working with the back of my tongue. It's a great shame that I had to take the abs walk video down. I was hoping this whole issue with the authorities trying to stamp on me was going to be short. However, I was forced to take quite a few videos down. And of course, in a way, this is suppression. And, even if you don't agree with everything we're saying, do you agree with suppression? Because this is information you can't have. I will come back to the abs walk and I'll make a video, but basically you use your tongue, the back of your tongue, to push your head back. As your head is further and further back, so it's not hanging forwards, it's not going backwards, it's balanced, but it's balanced between the two of them. And using your tongue, not the muscles you would use for a neck stretch. Those muscles should only really be used for gaining range. Those are not used for holding your neck back. Maintaining that, you then walk along, feeling the back third of your tongue and your big toes. So you think, back third of your tongue, big toes. And as you walk along, it's a very interesting experience and you feel your abs working. And if you're doing one of these little exercise routines, my exercise routine is the 10 press ups and 3 chin ups. And I start, the first set of press ups is like this, my hands are like that. Second set of press ups, my hands are like that. And the third set of press ups, my hands are like that. And then I'll rotate back. And but I'm not qualified to recommend any form of exercise. I can recommend where you should go and preferably find a professional, work on it, see what you can achieve, because that's how you can unblock your progression. And you will get blocked in your progression. And don't kid yourself that you've changed more than you think you have. Try videoing yourself when you're sitting there working. Most of you will be amazed at how often your lips will fall apart. And there we go. Have you really changed? Anyway, listen, watch this space. Read the text underneath. We're talking about doing these interviews, trying to get out some case examples from mewers so that we use this in part of the scientific process to move the whole mewing movement forward so that we can help you. And watch this space, because we do have a clash of ideologies coming up and we need to gain the truth. We need to help you, and to help you, I would really like you to help me to help you. And that means a little bit of your time, a little bit of your energy. Think about what resources you could bring to bear. How could you help?